The stars outside the observation window looked endless. Billions of bright lights scattered across the dark sky like glitter on a black canvas. The research vessel Aurora's path drifted slowly near the edge of a dying star system. Its engines hummed softly, and its crew worked in quiet rhythm. Among them was Dr. Lena Morris, a young astrophysicist known for her sharp curiosity. She had always been the one asking questions that others didn't dare to. Her short brown hair framed her thoughtful eyes as she looked at the star collapsing far beyond the glass. Across the room stood Captain Raylan Voss, the ship's commanding officer. He was calm, always calm, no matter how uncertain the universe seemed. His quiet presence filled the room with a strange sense of order. The crew respected him deeply, not just because of his leadership, but because he carried something unspoken in his eyes, something heavy, perhaps even tragic. The ship had been orbiting the dying star for weeks. It was part of a research mission to study an unknown energy reading, an anomaly that had appeared suddenly, brighter than any flare, but oddly stable. Many believed it could be the discovery of a lifetime. Others whispered it might be something far older, something that should have remained hidden. Lena leaned closer to the glass. "Captain," she said softly, "that pulse, it doesn't match any natural pattern we've seen before. Could it be artificial?" Raylan turned toward her slowly. His eyes reflected the faint light of the star, calm yet deep. "Possibly," he said. "But if it is, then whoever made it wasn't human." The room grew quiet. Even the hum of the engine seemed to fade. Lena hesitated. "Then why are we still here? The readings show massive instability. If that energy wave expands again, it could reach us." The captain didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked to the console and looked at the live data feed. His gloved hands moved with precision. "Because sometimes," he said finally, "the only way to learn the truth is to stand close to the fire." His calm tone carried more weight than any loud order could have. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them wanted to argue with him. Not after what they'd heard about the Epsilon Front incident, the one mission that had made Raylan Voss a legend and a ghost at the same time. Lena, however, couldn't resist. Her curiosity was stronger than her fear. "Captain?" she asked, her voice trembling just a little. "What really happened at Epsilon Front?" Everyone in the room froze. Even the background chatter from the comm system stopped. It was a question no one had ever dared to ask him directly. The air grew thick with tension. Raylan looked at her. For a long moment he said nothing. Then very slowly a faint smile appeared on his face. Calm, quiet, and haunting. The room went silent. No one moved. That smile wasn't mocking. It wasn't even cold. It was the kind of smile that came from someone who had seen too much, someone who had looked into something no human should ever face. It was both peaceful and terrifying at once. After a moment, he turned back to the data screens. "Epsilon Front," he said quietly, "taught me that sometimes humanity doesn't find the universe. The universe finds us." Lena felt a chill run down her spine. The calm in his voice was worse than any fear. The communications officer broke the silence. "Captain, we're detecting another surge. The anomaly is pulsing again, stronger this time." Raylan straightened. "How long until it peaks?" 30 seconds, sir." "Brace for impact. Shields to maximum." The lights dimmed as power diverted to the ship's defenses. The entire vessel shook as the energy wave hit. Bright flashes rippled across the starfield. The dying sun flared one last time, sending golden fire through the void. When it was over, the crew slowly lifted their heads. Systems flickered back online. "Report," Raylan said. "No major damage," said the engineer, relief clear in her voice. "But, Captain, there's something else. The anomaly, it's changed shape." "It looks structured?" "Structured?" Lena repeated. She moved closer to the display and her eyes widened. "That's a pattern, like a signal." The readings displayed a sequence of repeating symbols arranged like a code. It pulsed softly, almost as if alive. "Can you decode it?" Raylan asked. "I can try," Lena said, fingers flying over her console. "But the pattern isn't binary. It's complex, almost like a language." Minutes passed in silence as she worked. The crew waited, the only sound the quiet clicking of keys and the steady hum of power. Finally, she stopped. Her face was pale. "What is it?" Raylan asked. Lena hesitated. "It's a message," she whispered. "But it's not alien. It's in an ancient Earth language, Sanskrit. The crew exchanged stunned looks. Raylan leaned in. Translate it. Lena's voice shook slightly as she read aloud. It says, "We are the Watchers." You came too close. The bridge went still. Raylan's expression didn't change. Origin of the signal? Lena looked at the coordinates. It's right below us. The signal is coming from the surface of that dying planet. Raylan nodded slowly. Prepare the shuttle. I'll lead the team myself. Lena turned to him alarmed. Sir, with all respect, we don't even know what's down there. He looked at her with that same calm smile. That's why we're going, to know. Something about his tone silenced her again. She wanted to argue, but the determination in his voice stopped her. An hour later, the shuttle Odyssey detached from Aurora's path and descended through the stormy atmosphere of the planet. Lightning crackled across the sky. The ground below was dark and scorched, littered with metallic ruins that shimmered faintly in the clouds. Lena sat beside the captain, gripping her seatbelt. Captain, she said quietly, what if that message was a warning? Raylan kept his eyes on the storm outside. Warnings exist to test courage, Doctor. Humanity didn't cross stars just to turn back from a whisper. The shuttle touched down on the barren surface. The air was thin, cold, and dry. In the distance, a massive structure jutted out of the ground, a perfect sphere half buried in black stone. As the team approached, strange markings glowed faintly along its surface, the same symbols as in the transmission. Lena knelt to study them. These are carved with precision, nanometer level. No natural process could have done this. Raylan placed his gloved hand against the sphere. For a second, nothing happened. Then the structure pulsed with light and a deep vibration filled the air. Captain, shouted the engineer. Energy surge. Raylan stepped back calmly. Hold your ground. A circular door opened slowly with a hiss. Beyond it, a long tunnel led downward, filled with light like liquid silver. Lena's heart pounded. This looks like a gate. Raylan's eyes narrowed. No, he said softly. It looks like an invitation. The crew stared at him uncertain. His voice carried a strange gravity, something between faith and fate. Captain, Lena said again, her tone half pleading, if we go in there, we might not come back. Raylan turned toward her, and once again that same calm, unreadable smile appeared. Then let's make sure humanity is remembered for what it dares to face, he said. And with that, he stepped into the light. The silver light surrounded Captain Raylan and his team as they stepped into the tunnel. The walls shimmered like water, but solid beneath their touch. Every sound they made echoed softly, repeating their voices in faint, whisper-like tones that didn't match their words exactly. It was as if the tunnel itself was listening and replying in a language of light and sound. Dr. Lena Morris followed behind Raylan, her heart pounding. The air inside felt strange, neither warm nor cold, but alive. Her scanner flickered with unstable readings. Captain, she said carefully, this place isn't made of metal or stone. It's something else, like liquid energy frozen in form. Raylan nodded without looking back. A technology beyond our time, he said. Maybe even beyond our understanding. The crew moved slowly. The tunnel curved downward, leading into a vast chamber glowing with soft blue light. In the center stood a tall crystal-like pillar, floating a few inches above the ground. Streams of light ran up and down its sides, pulsing in rhythm with something invisible, like a heartbeat. The moment they entered, the air vibrated. A deep, resonant hum filled the chamber. The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, forming circular patterns around them. Lena stared, eyes wide. This isn't random. It's reacting to us. Raylan approached the floating pillar, his calm steps echoing softly. It's aware we're here. The engineer, Juno, frowned. Captain, maybe we should run a scan first. Before she could finish, the pillar released a wave of soft light that passed through all of them. For a moment, Lena felt weightless, her thoughts filled with strange images, cities of light, starships shaped like wings, beings made of energy. Then it was gone. Everyone gasped. What was that? Juno whispered. Lena shook her head slowly. It wasn't just images. It felt like memories. Raylan turned toward her. Not ours, he said quietly. Theirs. The crew exchanged nervous looks. The silence felt heavy now, as if the air was filled with invisible eyes. Lena walked to the pillar and examined its surface. Her scanner translated a few of the glowing marks. Captain, she said softly, it says Vault of the Watchers. The Watchers? Juno repeated. That was in the message too. We are the Watchers. You came too close. Raylan folded his arms. Then this place may be one of their outposts. Maybe even a tomb. Before anyone could respond, the hum deepened. The floor lit up with lines of energy, spreading outward like a map. At the far end of the chamber, a shape began to form. A figure made of pure light. It stood tall, its outline vaguely human, but with shifting patterns flowing across its body like rivers of stars. Its face was unreadable, but when it spoke, its voice echoed in their minds rather than their ears. You should not have come. Everyone froze. The voice was calm, not angry, but filled with a deep sadness. Raylan stepped forward slowly. We came seeking knowledge. We mean no harm. The being turned toward him. Its glowing eyes narrowed slightly, and for a moment the light dimmed around them. Knowledge, it said. That is what all of your kind say before they take, before they destroy. Lena swallowed hard. We're explorers. We only want to understand. Understand? The being's tone shifted, almost curious. You stand inside the last echo of a civilization that existed before your species learned to walk upright. What is it you hope to understand here? Raylan met its gaze without fear. The truth, he said. The being was silent for a long moment. Then it said, truth is not something you find. It is something that finds you. And once it does, you can never go back. Lena looked around. Are you alive? Or just a recording? The being's light flickered faintly. I am both. I am the memory of the Watchers bound to this vault. I remember their rise. I remember their fall. Raylan's expression remained calm, though his eyes were sharp. What caused their fall? The being turned toward the pillar. They reached too far. They thought themselves guardians of life. But they tried to control what cannot be controlled, the flow of creation itself. And so they became the first to vanish into the silence. Lena frowned. The silence? Yes, it said softly. A force that consumes everything, that forgets its place. It is still out there, waiting. The chamber trembled slightly, as if the memory of that word disturbed the very walls. Raylan looked around the room, then back at the being. Then why leave this vault? Why send a signal to us? The being paused. Because the silence has awakened again. The pulse you detected, it was not meant to call you. It was a warning. Lena's eyes widened. Then we've already triggered it. The being's light dimmed. Perhaps. Perhaps not yet. The silence feeds on awareness. The more you know of it, the closer it comes. The crew stared at one another in alarm. Raylan spoke firmly. If there's danger coming, we'll face it. Humanity always does. The being tilted its head slightly. That is what makes you both remarkable and doomed. For the first time, Lena saw something like emotion flicker in its glowing form. Sadness mixed with admiration. Captain, Juno whispered. We should leave. This place isn't safe, but Raylan didn't move. He looked at the being with quiet determination. If this silence is real, then we need to know how to stop it. The being regarded him carefully. To stop it, you would need to awaken what the Watchers feared most, the core of their own creation. But to touch it is to risk everything that you are. Lena shook her head. Captain, this is too much. We can't fight something we don't understand. Raylan gave her a small, calm smile. We'll understand soon enough. The being stepped closer. The chamber pulsed brighter with every word it spoke. If you wish to see, then I will show you. But once you see, you cannot turn away. A beam of light extended from the pillar, touching Raylan's chest. The room around them dissolved into white brilliance. In an instant, they were standing among the stars, not the real ones, but a vast illusion of cosmic memory. Gigantic shapes of light moved between galaxies. They looked like titans made of nebulae, building worlds, weaving energy into form. These were the Watchers, the voice said, creators and observers. They shaped the first civilizations across the stars, but they began to fear what they had made. The vision shifted. The titans now fought against a spreading darkness, a wave of pure void devouring everything. That is the silence, the being said. It came from their own creation, from the emptiness they tried to control. It cannot be destroyed, only delayed. Raylan stared into the blackness, calm yet awed. And it's coming again. Yes, the being said softly. And this time it comes for you. The light faded. The crew was back in the chamber, trembling and pale. Lena took a deep breath. Captain, we have to leave, now. Raylan turned to the being. You said it feeds on awareness. If we leave, will it still follow? The being's light flickered faintly. You have already been marked by its notice. But your choices may still change its path. Raylan nodded slowly. Then humanity will stand ready. The being seemed to study him for a long moment. Then it said, There is something different about you, Captain. You carry silence within you, and yet you do not fear it. Raylan's calm smile returned, the same one that had made the crew fall silent back on the ship. Fear is just another kind of silence, he said. And I've learned to live with both. The being bowed its head slightly. Then perhaps humanity's story is not yet done. The chamber lights dimmed. The floating pillars sank slowly into the ground, leaving only faint symbols glowing beneath their feet. The tunnel behind them began to collapse with soft, echoing tremors. Move, Raylan ordered, his voice firm. They ran through the fading light, the echoes of the vault following them like whispers. As they reached the exit, the silver light vanished completely and the ground shook one last time. They stumbled out into the cold air of the planet's surface. Above them, the dying star flickered weakly as if struggling to breathe. Lena looked back at the sealed tunnel. It's gone, she said quietly, like it never existed. Raylan looked toward the horizon where the sky seemed darker now, as if something vast and unseen waited beyond. No, he said. It's still there, watching. He turned toward the shuttle. Let's go home. We have a warning to deliver. As they lifted off, the dying planet sank behind them, and far beyond the stars, something in the darkness stirred, awake and listening. The city of Lyra Prime was quiet once more. Fires burned low in the ruins, but the people were safe. The sky glimmered with stars as if celebrating the victory, and the air carried the scent of hope. The Zarth Empire had been pushed back, at least for now, leaving the galaxy stunned at what a single human, alongside a Lyrian princess, had achieved. Captain Ryan Holt walked through the streets with slow, steady steps. His arms were bruised and sore, his uniform torn, but his face carried the same calm determination that had inspired so many. Civilians waved at him, tears in their eyes. Soldiers saluted him, their faces full of respect. Yet Ryan remained humble. He didn't fight for praise, medals, or titles. He fought because it was right. Princess Alera moved quietly beside him, her silver eyes softening as she watched him. In the chaos of battle, she had seen a human spirit unlike any other, fearless, determined, compassionate. And now in the quiet aftermath, she saw the man behind the hero. Ryan, she said softly, stepping closer. You have changed everything, not just here but across the galaxy. He turned, brushing ash from his sleeve. We changed it together, he said, his voice gentle. I couldn't have done this alone. You were with me every step. Alera smiled, a mixture of pride and relief in her gaze. I wanted to stand with you. I wanted to see the heart of a human, and I have. Ryan nodded slowly, his eyes reflecting the starlight. Then I hope it was worth seeing. It was, she whispered. More than words can say. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. There was no need for grand words or promises. The bond they shared, forged in the fires of battle, was stronger than anything else. Across the galaxy, news of the human who had led the defense of Lyra Prime spread like wildfire. Traders on distant planets whispered his name. Scholars wrote of him in their histories. Children looked up at the stars and dreamed of bravery like his. Ryan became more than a soldier. He became a symbol. A reminder that courage, spirit, and determination could stand against even the most powerful enemies. And yet he remained unchanged. He did not seek fame. He only sought to protect, to inspire, and to survive for the sake of others. Alera watched him from the palace balcony as the citizens celebrated below. She thought about the first time she had seen him fight barehanded in the arena of worlds. How still he had been, how calm, and how completely he had captured her attention, her curiosity, and eventually her heart. She stepped closer to him. Ryan, she said softly, will you stay? With me, with Lyra, with our people. Ryan looked at her, the weight of countless battles behind his calm eyes. I don't belong to a kingdom, princess, he said. I belong wherever I am needed. Alera placed her hand on his arm. Then stay where you are most needed. Here, with me. Not as a soldier, not as a hero, but as a man whose heart has changed mine. Ryan's lips curved into a small smile. He had fought countless enemies, faced endless dangers, yet this moment, This quiet, simple moment felt like a victory unlike any other. "Then I will stay," he said. The days that followed were full of rebuilding. The city of Lyra Prime rose from its ruins, stronger and brighter than before. The citizens honored Ryan not with statues or trophies, but with stories, and stories of courage, of hope, of the human who refused to bow before fear. Ryan worked quietly alongside them, helping to rebuild homes and streets. Wherever he walked, people greeted him with smiles and gratitude. He didn't act like a hero. He acted like one who simply did what was right. Lyra, watching him, often joined him in the streets. She would help carry supplies, organize shelters, or simply walk beside him, speaking of the future they could build together. The bond between human and Lyrian princess became a symbol, not just of love, but of unity and hope across worlds. One evening, as the twin moons of Lyra rose in the sky, Ryan and Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The air was cool, the stars glittering, and for the first time since the battles began, there was peace. "You know," Ryan said quietly, "I never expected any of this. I never imagined a human like me could change the fate of a planet." Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes shining. "You did more than change the planet. You changed hearts, mine included." Ryan looked at her and laughed softly. "I only did what I had to do. You saw something in me I didn't even know existed." She smiled, stepping closer. "And I will never forget it. You fought for life, for hope, and for what is right. That is what makes you extraordinary." Ryan Holt. For a long moment they stood in silence, gazing at the city below, the stars above, and the vastness of the universe around them. News of their victory reached distant star systems. Leaders from multiple worlds sent messages of congratulations. Allies who had once doubted humans now asked for partnerships. The galaxy began to see humanity differently, not as a fragile species, but as one with courage, heart, and unbroken will. Ryan's story became legend. Soldiers recounted his battles. Children drew pictures of him in their classrooms, and scholars wrote about the human who fought bare-handed against impossible odds. Yet Ryan himself never sought the title. He remained humble, focusing on helping those who needed him most. Lyra stood beside him during the ceremonies and celebrations. She did not need words to show her feelings. Her presence, her gaze, and her quiet support said more than any speech could. And Ryan, understanding her heart as she had understood his, felt a warmth he had not known for a long time. A sense of belonging, not to a planet or a crown, but to a connection that was stronger than any battlefield. Months passed and the city flourished. The bond between humans and Lyrians grew stronger, not just because of a single battle, but because of the courage, trust, and hope shared between one human and one princess. One evening, as Ryan trained in the arena, Lyra approached him with a small smile. "You know," she said softly, "you inspire more than warriors. You inspire hearts, even mine." Ryan paused, wiping sweat from his brow. "I only do what I can. The rest is up to the people who believe in each other." Lyra took his hand gently. "Then believe in me, Ryan Holt, as I believe in you." He looked into her silver eyes, seeing sincerity, admiration, and a kind of love that had grown through courage and shared struggle. He squeezed her hand gently. "I believe in you, Lyra, more than I have ever believed in anything." In the quiet of the night, as Lyra Prime slept under a canopy of stars, the princess whispered one final time softly, as if the universe itself could hear her. She saw the human fight bare-handed and whispered, "I want him to be mine." Not as a prize, but as the light that changed her world. Ryan stood beside her, looking up at the same stars. For him, the galaxy had always been full of challenges and dangers. But in that moment, he realized that the greatest strength was not in battles fought or enemies defeated. It was in the heart. And humanity, fragile and unarmed as it might seem, had a heart strong enough to change worlds. The stars above twinkled as if applauding. Legends of the human would be told for generations. And Lyra, the Lyrian princess who had witnessed his courage firsthand, would carry in her heart the memory of one man who fought not for glory but for life, hope, and the courage to stand unbroken. The galaxy would never forget Captain Ryan Holt, the human who had fought bare-handed, who had saved thousands, and who had taught a princess and the stars themselves what true courage looked like. And somewhere, far beyond the twinkling lights of Lyra Prime, Humans everywhere would look at the stars and know that their kind had made its mark, not through weapons, not through fear, but through heart. The research vessel Aurora's path glided through the endless sea of stars, heading toward the blue glow of Earth. Weeks had passed since the crew's encounter with the Silence, but the memory of that strange, vast darkness still haunted every moment aboard the ship. Dr. Lena Morris spent most of her time in the observation room, staring at the endless night. She still remembered the faint shimmer in the captain's eyes when he said the Silence had left something inside him. That quiet smile of his had comforted the crew, yet it also carried something deeper, something she couldn't explain. The others tried to return to routine duties. Juno worked tirelessly in engineering, trying to ensure the ship remained stable. Lieutenant Harris stayed busy decoding the remaining fragments of their lost signal. But no matter how hard they tried to act normal, there was always a sense that they were being watched. One evening, Lena walked to the bridge. The captain was standing alone by the window, gazing at Earth's distant light. "Captain," she said quietly, "we'll be home soon." Raylan nodded slowly. "Home," he repeated. "Funny word, isn't it? After everything we've seen, it almost feels smaller." Lena hesitated, then asked, "Do you think they'll believe us? The council, I mean. About what we saw?" Raylan gave her that calm, unreadable smile. "They'll believe what they want to believe. But the truth doesn't need belief to exist." Lena lowered her eyes. "You still think it's out there, don't you?" He turned his gaze to her. "I don't think," he said softly. "I know." Before she could respond, Harris's voice came through the comm. "Captain, we're approaching Earth orbit. The Council has sent instructions. They're ordering immediate debrief at the United Space Command Center." Raylan straightened. "Understood. Prepare the shuttle. We'll go down in person." A few hours later, the shuttle descended through Earth's bright atmosphere. For the first time in months, the crew saw clouds, oceans, and sunlight. It should have felt comforting, but Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. They landed on the polished landing platform of the Orbital Command Tower, a massive facility overlooking the Pacific. Waiting for them were uniformed officers and scientists, their faces stern and curious. As the crew stepped out, a tall woman with gray eyes approached. "Captain Voss," she said firmly, "I'm Director Arwen Hale of the Earth Council. You and your team are to report for immediate medical and psychological evaluation. Your mission data has already been transferred for review." Raylan nodded calmly. "Understood, Director. But before any report, I need to speak to the Council directly. What we found isn't just data, it's a warning." Director Hale's eyes narrowed slightly. "You'll have your chance to speak. For now, follow the protocol." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Even on Earth, the tension hadn't lifted. Hours later, after medical scans and interviews, the crew gathered in a large conference chamber filled with holographic displays. The 12 members of the Earth Council sat around a circular table, their faces projected as shimmering figures. Director Hale stood at the front. "Captain Voss, Dr. Morris, Engineer Juno, and Lieutenant Harris, you are here to explain the anomaly discovered near star Epsilon 41. We've reviewed your logs, but much of the data is corrupted. Explain." Raylan stood tall, his calm voice filling the room. "We found a vault, an ancient structure built by beings called the Watchers. They left behind a message, a warning about something they called the Silence." He paused, then added quietly, "It isn't a weapon. It isn't a life form. It's something far greater, a force that consumes awareness itself." The council members exchanged skeptical looks. One of them, a younger man with sharp features, leaned forward. "You're telling us a cosmic entity eats knowledge?" Lena spoke up. "It's not just knowledge. It grows when we try to understand it. Even talking about it draws its attention." The room fell quiet. Raylan continued. "When we returned, our ship's systems began to malfunction. The Silence reached out to us through signals. It even spoke," the council murmured. Director Hale raised a hand. "Captain, are you suggesting this entity followed you back?" Raylan didn't blink. "I'm saying it never left." The words made the room colder. The council head frowned. "You have no proof of that claim." Raylan smiled faintly. "Proof isn't what it seeks. Awareness is." Lena noticed something strange then. The lights in the room flickered slightly, just for a moment. No one else seemed to notice, but she did. Raylan looked around slowly. "It's listening," he said softly. Director Hale's voice hardened. Captain, I'll remind you, this is a secure facility. Nothing can listen here without clearance. But even as she spoke, the lights flickered again. The holographic screens behind her glitched, showing static for a second before clearing. A deep hum filled the air. Lena's heart pounded. "It's here," she whispered. The room fell silent. The holograms of the council began to distort. Faces blurred and stretched, voices crackled through static. One of the councilors' images turned completely black, forming a dark circular shape, the same as in the transmission they'd seen before. Then, from the speakers, a soft, calm voice echoed. "You see us again. We never left." Gasps filled the room. Scientists scrambled to shut down the systems, but the black shape remained on every screen. Director Hale shouted, "Cut all connections. Kill the power!" The lights went out. Only the black circle remained, glowing faintly in the dark. Raylan stood still, his face calm. "Stop," he said quietly. Everyone turned to him, confused and terrified. He stepped closer to the screen. "What do you want?" The voice replied, soft and endless. "You carry our memory. You opened the gate." Lena's eyes widened. "Captain, it's talking to you again." Raylan's expression didn't change. "Then talk to me. Leave the others alone." The voice seemed to pause. Then it said, "You cannot offer what is already one with us." The screens flickered again. For a brief moment, Raylan's reflection appeared on them. Only his eyes shone faintly like stars trapped in glass. Lena's breath caught. "Captain," Director Hale ordered the guards to step forward. "Restrain him now." But Raylan raised a hand calmly. "There's no need for fear. It isn't here to destroy." "Then what is it here for?" Hale demanded. He looked up at the dark screen. "To understand what we've become." The voice on the speakers echoed his words exactly in perfect unison. "To understand what we've become." The air shimmered. A pulse of energy rippled through the walls, harmless yet powerful. All at once, the darkness vanished. The lights returned, systems rebooted, and the screens went blank. Everyone stood frozen, breathing heavily. Hale turned to Raylan. "What did you do?" "I listened," he said simply. "And it left." Lena stepped closer, searching his face. "How do you know it's gone?" He smiled gently. "Because for the first time since the vault, it's quiet." But even as he said it, she noticed something, the faint shimmer still in his eyes. Later that night, Lena sat alone in her assigned quarters, unable to sleep. The stars outside seemed still, too still. She opened her tablet and began reviewing the data from their journey. When she reached the final log entry, she froze. The file's timestamp read tomorrow. Her hands shook. "That's impossible," she whispered. The entry played automatically. It was a recording of Raylan's voice. "If you're hearing this, it means the silence has reached Earth. Don't run. Don't fight. Remember what it taught us. The universe isn't meant to be conquered. It's meant to be understood." The file ended. The tablet shut off by itself. Lena sat motionless, staring at her reflection in the dark screen. Then she saw it. Behind her reflection, a faint black shape forming slowly, like a shadow of nothing. She turned quickly, but the room was empty. Only the quiet hum of the air system filled the space. Her heart raced. She whispered softly, "Captain, what did you bring back with us?" Far above Earth, in orbit, the Aurora's path floated silently. Its lights flickered once, then went still. The city lights of Earth sparkled far below the orbiting research vessel Aurora's path. But the beauty of the world felt fragile, almost unreal. Captain Raylan Voss stood on the observation deck, gazing at the planet beneath them. The silence had followed them home. He could feel its presence, an unseen weight pressing against the edges of thought, probing, studying, always patient. Dr. Lena Morris entered quietly, her eyes wide with both fear and determination. "Captain," she whispered, "it's already spreading. Communications, data networks, even personal devices, everywhere it touches, it leaves traces. The Watcher warned us about awareness, and now it's feeding." Raylan didn't turn from the window. "I know," he said softly. "But the first step is to understand it, not panic." Lena shivered. "How can we understand something that isn't even fully alive? Something that learns faster than we do?" Raylan's calm smile appeared, just as it had when she first asked him about the Watchers. "Because that's what humanity does best. We look at the impossible and we act." In the control room, the Earth Council waited anxiously. Director Arwen Hale had summoned a global emergency session. The counselors and scientists stared at the live feed from the Aurora's path. Every major city had reported strange electronic anomalies, shadows in systems and faint whispers that caused panic and confusion. Lena briefed them. It's not a virus, not a signal, not even energy as we know it. It's intelligence, but of a kind we've never seen. It doesn't kill. It studies, adapts, and it spreads through awareness. The council head, a stern man named Marlon Vey, frowned. Are you saying this entity, this silence, has come to Earth? Raylan nodded. Yes, and it's already here. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Lena continued. It doesn't attack humans directly. Instead, it probes thoughts, decisions, knowledge. But the more it learns from us, the stronger it becomes. If it's allowed to grow unchecked, she couldn't finish the sentence. Everyone understood. Unchecked, the silence could overwhelm humanity, not by force, but by comprehension, erasing individuality, curiosity, even free thought. Outside the chamber, the sky was beginning to dim unnaturally, as if a shadow stretched across the planet from orbit. People paused and stared, unease spreading like wildfire. Communications failed intermittently, lights flickered in buildings, and even satellites experienced anomalies. In the council chamber, Raylan addressed the room. We have a choice, he said firmly. We can panic, shut down every system, isolate ourselves, but that only slows it. Or we can act intelligently, show it what humanity truly is. Lena frowned. Act intelligently? Captain, it's already everywhere. How do we act? Raylan's calm voice carried certainty. We show it courage, creativity, and cooperation, the things the Watchers valued. We make it understand that humanity is worth studying, not consuming. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. And if it doesn't understand? Director Hale asked. Raylan's eyes narrowed slightly. Then we survive together, or not at all. But we have to try. The first step was the Aurora's path itself. Raylan and Lena worked with engineers to create a feedback loop using the ship's systems. The idea was to project a controlled representation of human thought and emotion through light and sound, something the silence could observe, analyze, and comprehend. It's risky, Juno said nervously. If it misreads the pattern, it could accelerate its growth instead of learning. Raylan smiled faintly, his calm demeanor steadying everyone. We cannot fear the unknown. We must meet it with resolve. Hours passed as the crew worked tirelessly, connecting the Aurora's path to Earth's global networks. Massive arrays of energy flowed through the ship, projecting signals across cities, satellites, and digital systems. Light cascaded over oceans, deserts, and forests, creating a web of brilliance visible even from orbit. Lena watched nervously. Captain, it's responding. From the shadows beyond Earth, faint shapes began to shift, forming patterns that almost resembled movement, but with no solid form. The silence was observing, pausing, processing. Inside the command chamber, a voice, soft, endless, and calm, echoed through the systems. You display creativity, courage, cooperation, unusual for your kind. Raylan responded through the interface. Yes, we are human. You've studied the Watchers. Now study us, see what we've become. The silence pulsed faintly. Cities glowed brighter as if reflecting human resilience and determination. Every act of ingenuity, children building, scientists discovering, artists creating, people helping one another, was captured in the feedback loop. The silence, which thrived on observation, now absorbed the best of humanity. Lena watched the patterns on her screen, amazed. Captain, it's learning, but it's not consuming. Raylan nodded. It's understanding. The council members stared at the displays, some in disbelief. Can it be stopped? One of them whispered. Raylan shook his head. Not stopped, but guided. We don't fight it, we teach it. Humanity's strength is not in weapons. It's in thought, heart, and unity. Hours turned into days as the silence studied the projection. It was patient, unrelenting, but it began to shift. Its dark, formless mass condensed, then dispersed, slowly losing its oppressive presence. On the Aurora's path, the crew felt relief ripple through the ship. Even the faint shimmer in Raylan's eyes, evidence of the silence's mark, dimmed. Lena approached him cautiously. Captain, do you think it will leave us now? Raylan smiled softly, calm as ever. It will for now, but it will watch again. That's the way of the universe. It tests, observes, waits. What matters is that humanity showed it who we are. The city lights on Earth returned to their normal glow. Systems normalized and communications resumed. People stepped outside, confused but safe, unaware of the cosmic threat that had touched their planet, and had been met not with fear, but with courage. In the council chamber, Director Hale spoke quietly. "Captain Dr. Morris, you've done something no one thought possible. You faced the silence without weapons and lived to tell it." Raylan's calm smile returned, the same smile that had silenced rooms, steadied hearts, and inspired belief in the impossible. "We only did what humanity does best," he said. Lena added, "We reminded it that understanding is stronger than consumption. Knowledge can build, not destroy." The counselors nodded, slowly grasping the depth of what had occurred. Humanity had been tested by a force beyond comprehension, and had responded with courage, intellect, and unity. Outside, the sky was calm again. Stars sparkled above, the planet alive with light, sound, and life. The silence had retreated, at least for now. Later on the observation deck, Lena turned to Raylan. "Do you ever wonder if it will come back?" He looked at her, calm as always, a faint smile on his lips. "It will, but so will we. That's the lesson of every test humanity has faced. We don't hide. We don't run. We adapt and we rise." Lena smiled softly, feeling a mixture of awe and hope. "And we'll be ready." Raylan's eyes shone faintly, reflecting the stars. "Yes, always ready. Curiosity brought us here, and courage will carry us forward. That is what makes us human." For the first time in months, the crew allowed themselves to breathe deeply. They had faced the silence, the unknown, the incomprehensible, the endless dark, and humanity had prevailed. Not by force, but by heart, mind, and unity. Above them, in the infinite cosmos, something waited, watching, and somewhere in that watchful darkness, the silence had learned its first lesson. Humanity was worth knowing, worth understanding, and worth surviving. The calm smile on Raylan's face reflected not fear, but hope. A hope that the universe could challenge them but never break them. Humanity had been tested, and humanity had stood tall. And as the Aurora's path continued its journey among the stars, the crew knew one thing for certain. No matter what came next, they would face it together.